give the subscribe button the business. Okay?
See what you did there.
Much like Ron Cherry said 15 years ago, David Hale, ESPN, joins us now on the Heister Automotive Group hotline. 15 years ago, David? I think you and I just got more gray in our beards, man. 15 years ago?
I'm somehow aging like in decades, not in years. So yeah, it's not great. I'm old. I wanted to follow up on something from your last segment that I caught the very tail end of.
Yeah.
Because this is an interesting fact that I recently learned and I wanted to share with you.
Is it about lifted trucks?
Well, it's about technology that was going to reshape the world.
Oh,
entirely.
yes.
Do you recall? I think it came out on like the Today Show or Good Morning America. The guy invented the Segway.
Yes.
And, like, it was this big reveal of what the Segway was, and it was going to change. Walking was going to become a thing of the past.
Mm-hmm.
Suckers would be the ones walking. Everybody else would be on a Segway. Do you know what I recently learned? The inventor of the Segway died by riding a Segway off the side of a mountain.
Yep.
That's a fact. That is utterly insane.
But David, he went out doing what he loved. Can't
right.
we? That's all we should hope for.
We should all be so lucky.
Yes. Like, for instance, the way you'll go out is by writing an oral history about a referee 15 years ago at NC State. Say he was giving him the business. That's what Ron Cherry did in an NC State Maryland game 15 years ago.
And the sport has never been the same since. NC State has never been the same since.
I think Giglio's a little jealous that you actually got former NC State coach Tom O'Brien to talk to you about something for once.
Ooh, ouch.
He was actually in Spain when I reached out to him for this story, and he was very excited about it. And he was like with a bunch of family for his birthday in Europe, and like was showing everyone the Ron Cherry video. And I'm like, is there this side of Tom O'Brien that I just didn't know about who like enjoys life in Europe? And apparently there is.
David Hale joining us here on the Heister Automotive Group hotline. It's Joe Ovius. I'm Joe Giglio. So you're really blowing my mind right now that it was 15 years ago, because I thought it was a Mikey G game, but you're right. It was like a Daniel Evans special, wasn't it, at the end of the season there where State was trying to get to bowl eligible and the game went sideways very quickly. And it was the only thing memorable from that game was the giving him the business call from Ron Cherry. Did you ask Ron where the stoplight lantern first down signal came from? How did he adopt that?
So his explanation for his entire aesthetic was that he always viewed his job as like communicating to like the TV viewer. And so he wanted to be very sort of emphatic about everything that he was doing, everything that he was saying. And like, look, here's the thing. If you didn't know Ron Cherry and you just watched the games that he officiated and listened to his calls, I mean, there's sort of a caricature of the guy that you would build in your head. I don't know that caricature is wrong, but dude, like, really thought about this. Like, and everyone that I talked to is like, nobody worked harder at being an official than Ron Cherry did. Like, everything was by the book. He's an ex-Air Force guy. And so it's sort of, I think, like the gestures and stuff just sort of became almost militaristic of like, you snap off that salute. You don't just half-ass it. So I think that was just sort of, again, all of it was sort of his personality coming through.
David Hale joining us. ESPN wrote an oral history about the 15th anniversary of former ACC official Ron Cherry saying he was giving him the business in the middle of a game. Go check that out. All right, some actual football matters going into this weekend. We have the college football playoff rankings on Tuesday. The disclaimer is let's not get too wrapped up in what that ranking means in the grand scheme of things. But I almost found it comical that there was this reaction to Clemson being at number 4 ahead of Michigan, and it's like, well, they spelled it out for you in the rankings. Look at 20, 21, and 22, teams that they beat. And don't be surprised if Notre Dame kind of maybe sneaks in there at some point. I thought putting Carolina at 17 also helped frame Clemson in a positive way going forward because, Carolina is in the process of wrapping up the Coastal Division. I mean, is that your takeaway, too, from what we saw on Tuesday night?
Yeah, but the problem that I continue to have, and first of all, I say do get wrapped up in these rankings because that's the whole point.
Fair.
This is an entertainment product. There is no point in releasing these rankings other than to get people angry. So by all means, get angry about it. I think the metrics to me suggest Clemson should be number 4. I had no problem with this at all. And whether you rank those teams or not, I mean, the idea that we arbitrarily cut off at 25 an important victory is stupid to begin with. It's like, did you beat a good team? Did you beat a bad team? Did you beat an okay team? Those are sort of the tiers we should be talking about. And look, Clemson played. I mean, I would include Florida. Frankly, the fact that Florida State is somehow behind Texas is insane to me because there's no evidence that supports that. So, I mean, you could make a case that Clemson played 4 pretty good teams back to back to back to back and won all 4 of those games. To me, even if they didn't do it in the most convincing of fashions, like that as a metric bothers me. This idea that if you didn't blow at people out, then you must not be a good team, because you don't get extra win credit for how much you win by. And frankly, the difference between beating a team by 14 or 30 is really minimal in a lot of cases. It's about what you did in garbage time. The biggest critique I have with Clemson's ranking is not where they're ranked. It's just that exact same evidence used to support Clemson was not used for TCU, which is ranked 7th. It doesn't that you can't. Those are essentially the same profiles, and you chose one is 7 and one is 4, and it doesn't add up to me.
David Hale, ESPN, joining us here on the OG. I'm happy. Yeah, tell him. Hale, get excited.
Give him the business.
Get excited over those.
Give him the business.
Those rankings matter to me. They should matter to you. I mean, honestly.
Well, it looks like we have a double.
Nick Stevens. Tell Nick.
Nick Stevens just randomly hopped on. He hijacked our air link all of a sudden. So that's why we're seeing like, hey, Nick, can you log off and come back on in like a hot minute?
The joys of live radio.
I know. This is the live radio when we're doing this new technology stuff.
Every time I'm on, you should just have another random person come on and like halfway through it.
Roulette, just to see who it is. See if you can guess who it is.
Shout out to...
like, ladies and gentlemen, Carrot Top! Oh, my God!
Whoa! Shout out to Katie Nolan when she was at ESPN in the middle of the pandemic, did that with Zoom. It's like, all right, invite the most famous person on your phone onto this Zoom call, see how crazy we can get. And that was an entertaining thing that happened. All right. Before we get out of here, David Hale joining us, ESPN. Go check out the 15-year anniversary, Giving Him the Business oral history that's on ESPN right now. I have complicated feelings about North Carolina as they're getting ready to take on Virginia and wrap this thing up. All right, I really do have complicated, because when you look at what they've done this year, it's been an adventure to get to their record, all right? And the rest of the Colts was just falling apart around them, melting down like Elon, tweeting through it right now. So how good is Carolina? Does it matter how good they are right now?
That's a great question. The answer, I think, they're Schrodinger's cat situation. They're as good as you want to believe that they are. I
Fair.
guess. I think, the defense is not great. And I know they're going to point to, because I've talked to Mac, and they will point to the fact that they're allowing fewer points in ACC play. And I would suggest that ACC play may not be quite as challenging as you would like it to be.
Maybe not.
And B, all the underlying metrics still suggest that the defense hasn't really gotten any better. They're not like pressuring people more. They're still giving up a lot of explosive plays. But look, Drake May is really damn good. I think that's the one thing I feel is definitively true. And he's got a really good core of receivers that he can throw the ball to. And in the Coastal, like, having one good unit might be good enough to say, yeah, that's clearly the best team. And at this point, I mean, they're going to have to really shoot themselves in the foot to not win that division. So it comes down to the question of, like, can they get through the rest of the season without losing a game? And I think that's a big question. I mean, I think it's a big question even going into this weekend to a place where Virginia's terrible, but Mac Brown still never won in Charlottesville. And then can they give Clemson a game? And to me, that's the biggest question in the ACC is, can anyone, but probably Carolina, give Clemson a game? I will say I don't think Carolina is as good as Wake. We'll find that out probably in a head-to-head.
Yeah, we will.
I don't think Carolina is quite as good as Wake, but they sort of profile similarly, and Wake gave Clemson a hell of a game. So I look at this and I say, like, yeah, the pieces are there. It could happen. Am I a buyer on Carolina? I mean, I guess it depends on sort of like what price you're selling that stock at. I'm not paying $44 billion to melt down over Carolina the way certain people are willing to melt down over $44 billion investments.